The encounter. The command deck of the Hegemony warship Indomitable hummed with quiet efficiency. Screens flickered with star charts and sensor readings as crew members monitored systems with practiced precision. Admiral Kovra stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, his scaled skin reflecting the blue glow of the tactical display. "Status report," he commanded, voice low and gravelly. First Officer Nix approached, datapad in hand. "All systems nominal. Admiral, the fleet is in formation. We've reached the edge of the Veil Nebula, just as ordered." Kovra nodded, his vertical pupils dilating slightly as he studied the display. The Hegemony's 7th Fleet, 15 warships strong, represented the mightiest concentration of firepower in this sector. Their presence here, at the edge of human-claimed territory, was meant as both warning and threat. "Any response from the human outposts?" Kovra asked. "None, sir. They'd gone silent since our arrival." The Admiral's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. As expected, the primates learned quickly when faced with superior force. For 3 decades, the Hegemony had expanded unchallenged across the galactic arm, absorbing or subjugating dozens of species. Humans had been among the few who consistently defied them, a perplexing annoyance given their technological inferiority and limited interstellar presence. "Sir," the sensor officer called, voice suddenly tight. "We're detecting something unusual." Kovra turned. "Define unusual, Lieutenant." "A vessel, I think. But the readings are inconsistent." The officer's fingers flew over the console. No drive signature, no radiation emissions. "It's just there." "On screen," Kovra ordered. The main view screen shifted, focusing on a distant point of darkness against the nebula's swirling blues and purples. At first, it appeared to be nothing more than a shadow or sensor ghost. But as the image enhanced, Kovra felt a chill run along his spine ridges. The object was ship-shaped, but unlike any vessel he'd encountered, it absorbed light rather than reflected it, creating the impression of a void moving through space. No visible propulsion system, no exterior lights, no weapons emplacements, nothing that would identify it as a functional spacecraft. "It's moving," the tactical officer reported, heading directly toward us. "Speed, difficult to calculate. Our sensors can't get a consistent lock." "Hail it," Kovra ordered. Communications tried repeatedly, but no response came. "Sir, it's accelerating," tactical reported, voice rising. "Approaching the Vigilant." The Vigilant, one of their forward destroyers, immediately powered weapon systems, standard protocol for unidentified vessels that violated approach parameters. "The Vigilant is firing morning shots," tactical announced. On screen, bright energy pulses streaked toward the dark vessel. What happened next caused the entire bridge crew to fall silent. The shots didn't impact, didn't miss, didn't disperse. They simply vanished as they neared the black hull, as if absorbed into its substance. "What?" Kovra began, but was interrupted as the Vigilant's captain appeared on a secondary screen. "Admiral, our weapons had no effect. The vessel is." Static replaced the captain's image. "We've lost connection with the Vigilant," communications reported. On the main screen, the dark ship passed alongside the destroyer. No weapons fired, no visible interaction at all. Yet as it passed, the Vigilant's lights flickered and died. The destroyer began to drift, systems offline, like a dead thing. "All ships, battle stations," Kovra shouted. "Target that vessel and fire at will." The fleet responded immediately. Energy weapons and missiles launched from multiple vessels, converging on the dark ship. But the result was the same. Weapons fire simply disappeared upon approach, neither impacting nor reflecting. The intruder changed course, heading directly toward the Indomitable. "Evasive maneuvers," Kovra ordered. "Full power to shields." The massive warship's engines roared as it attempted to veer away, but the dark vessel adjusted with impossible precision, exhibiting maneuverability that defied physics. "Sir," The science officer called, voice trembling. I've identified a pattern in the energy readings. I believe it's human in origin. Impossible, Kovra snarled. Human technology is decades behind ours. They don't have stealth capabilities like this. The signature is unmistakable, the officer insisted, though modified beyond anything in our records. As the dark ship drew closer, Kovra made a decision. Launch fighters. Surround it. If energy weapons don't work, we'll try physical impact. 3 squadrons deployed, sleek attack craft swarming toward the intruder. The first fighter to reach it attempted a strafing run, passing close to the black hull. It never emerged from the other side. One by one, fighters that approached too closely simply vanished, as if swallowed by the darkness. No explosions, no debris, just gone. Recall the fighters, Kovra ordered, skin paling to a lighter shade of green. All ships, maintain distance. Too late, he realized their mistake. The black vessel wasn't attacking. It was hurting them. 3 more Hegemony vessels had gone dark, systems failing as the intruder passed near them. For the first time in his 30-year military career, Admiral Kovra felt true fear. This wasn't combat. It was something else entirely. A transmission suddenly cut through the chaos, broadcasting on all frequencies. The voice was human, female, and disturbingly calm. Hegemony vessels. You have entered restricted space. Your presence here violates the boundary treaties. You have 10 minutes to withdraw. Kovra leaned forward. This is Admiral Kovra of the Hegemony 7th Fleet. Identify yourself immediately. You may call me Echo, the voice replied. I am the guardian of this boundary. 9 minutes remaining. We do not recognize your authority, Kovra responded. The Hegemony claims this sector under the Dominion protocols. Your vessel is in violation of. 8 minutes. Admiral, Echo interrupted. Your diplomatic posturing is irrelevant here. As if to emphasize the point, the dark ship suddenly accelerated, passing between 2 more Hegemony cruisers. Both vessels immediately lost power, their hulls going dark as they began to drift. Sir, First Officer Nix whispered, we've lost 5 ships already. No casualties reported. They're just disabled. Kovra's mind raced. This was unprecedented. The humans had always been resourceful, but this technology was beyond anything intelligence had reported. A vessel that could neutralize systems without destroying them, that couldn't be targeted or damaged. 7 minutes, Echo's voice reminded. What do you want? Kovra demanded. I've already stated my requirements. Withdraw beyond the boundary. And if we refuse? The dark ship suddenly accelerated again, this time directly toward the Indomitable's command section. Kovra braced for impact, but at the last moment, the vessel veered, passing so close that the viewports darkened as it crossed their field of vision. Every system on the bridge flickered. For 3 seconds, everything went dark. When power returned, the vessel was behind them. 6 minutes, Echo said. That was a demonstration, Admiral. Next time, the Indomitable will join your other vessels in the dark. Kovra's inner eyelids flicked rapidly as he considered his options. Half his fleet was already disabled. The mysterious vessel seemed untouchable, and yet retreat meant humiliation, a stain on the Hegemony's reputation of invincibility. Admiral, Nix urged quietly, we should withdraw. Whatever this technology is, we're unprepared for it. Kovra silenced him with a gesture. Prepare a probe. Full sensor package. Launch it toward the vessel. The probe streaked from the Indomitable, racing toward the dark ship. As it approached, its transmission came through to the bridge displays. What they saw stunned everyone present. The probe's sensors revealed the vessel's hull wasn't solid matter at all. It was a swarm. Billions of nanoscale machines moving in perfect coordination, creating a semi-solid membrane that could absorb energy, alter its shape, and apparently disrupt electrical systems on contact. Nanite technology, the science officer breathed. But the complexity, The coordination. It's beyond anything we've developed. 5 minutes, Echo reminded them. Kovra stared at the screen, mind racing. The humans had leapfrogged hegemony technology in at least one critical area, which meant Intel had been catastrophically wrong about their capabilities, which meant this confrontation had been a mistake from the beginning. "Signal the fleet," he said finally. "We're withdrawing to the boundary line." A collective breath seemed to release on the bridge. Orders were transmitted, and the remaining operational vessels began to turn. "A wise decision, Admiral." Echo's voice came through once more. "The boundary will be marked more clearly henceforth. Further violations will not receive warnings." As the Hegemony fleet retreated, their sensors detected energy signatures flaring from the disabled ships. One by one, they began to power back up, systems returning. "They're letting our people go," First Officer Nix observed. Kovra didn't respond. His gaze remained fixed on the view screen, where the dark vessel, this Echo, hung against the nebula backdrop like a tear in reality itself. The humans had changed the game. And for the first time since the Hegemony began its expansion, Admiral Chen Kovra found himself questioning whether they had finally met a species they could not simply conquer. As the fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, he made a decision. He would not report the full truth to High Command, not yet. First, he would find out everything possible about this new technology. And then he would return, with a fleet 10 times larger. The humans had won this encounter, but the Hegemony did not accept defeat. Not ever. The hunt. Maya Chen floated in the command nucleus of the vessel designated Echo, though she preferred its development name, Phantom. After the Hegemony fleet disappeared from sensor range, she allowed herself to relax slightly, disconnecting from the deep neural interface that linked her consciousness directly to the nanite swarm comprising the ship's structure. As the connection receded, reality reasserted itself. The command nucleus, a spherical chamber barely 3 meters in diameter, materialized around her. Holographic displays flickered with data streams, while the life support module hummed softly. "Neural disconnect complete," announced the ship's eye. Nanite collective entering autonomous mode. Maya rubbed her temples, where the neural connectors left faint indentations. "Status report, area. All systems nominal," the AI responded. "Nanite integrity at 97%. Repair protocols active. Energy reserves at 72%. "And our friends?" Maya asked, gesturing toward the disabled Hegemony vessels now powering back up. "All returning to operational status as programmed. No permanent damage detected. No casualties." Maya smiled. That had been the primary directive. Demonstrate power without destruction. The Phantom Project had never been intended as a weapon of mass destruction, but rather as the ultimate deterrent. Today had been its first field test, and the results were satisfying. Admiral Kovra's final transmission suggests retreat, but his neural patterns indicated deception. Area noted. Probability of return, 89%. With reinforcements, Maya added. "We expected that." She pushed away from the neural interface chair, letting herself drift through the nucleus toward the small personal compartment adjacent to it. The Phantom had minimal accommodation for its human pilot. Most of its mass consisted of nanite fabrication systems and the revolutionary quantum energy core. "Contact Outpost Theta," she instructed. "Let them know Phase 1 was successful." As Area executed the command, Maya's thoughts turned to the journey that had brought humanity to this point. 10 years ago, the Hegemony had arrived at the edges of human space, bringing with them their ultimatum: submission or conquest. Dozens of species had already fallen under their control, their worlds stripped of resources, their populations subjugated. Earth had chosen a third option: innovation. While the public diplomatic corps stalled with negotiations and minor territorial concessions, the deep labs went to work. If humanity couldn't match the Hegemony's numbers or conventional firepower, they would change the nature of the game entirely. Project Phantom was the result. a revolutionary platform combining synthetic biology, quantum physics, and artificial intelligence, a vessel without fixed form, capable of absorbing energy rather than deflecting it, disrupting systems without destroying them, and operated by a single pilot whose mind merged directly with the nanite collective. Maya had volunteered immediately when they sought candidates. As both a quantum physicist and former fighter pilot, she possessed the rare combination of skills required. The 3 years of adaptation had been excruciating. Neural reconfiguration, genetic modifications, psychological conditioning, but worth every moment of pain. Outpost Theta acknowledges, Area reported. Director Nakamura sends congratulations and orders to proceed with Phase 2. Maya nodded, pulling herself back toward the command chair. Plot a course for the Hegemony staging area in the Cygnus sector. Stealth approach. Phase 1 had been the demonstration. Phase 2 would be reconnaissance, deep into Hegemony territory, gathering intelligence on their response and reinforcement plans. The Phantom's unique properties made it the perfect infiltration platform, virtually undetectable to standard sensors. As she settled back into the neural interface, preparing to re-merge with the ship, Maya reflected on the expressions she'd observed on the Hegemony bridge. The alien faces were difficult to read, but there was no mistaking fear when she saw it. Today had changed something fundamental in the relationship between humans and the Hegemony. For the first time since first contact, they were afraid of us. The neural interface activated, and Maya's consciousness expanded once again, spreading throughout the nanite collective. The boundaries between flesh and machine blurred as she became the ship, feeling every fluctuation in the nanite swarm as if it were her own skin. Sensing the vacuum of space through quantum field detectors, the Phantom accelerated, its form elongating like liquid shadow as it oriented toward the Cygnus sector. No conventional engines flared. The nanites simply reconfigured, creating a quantum displacement field that moved the vessel through space without traditional propulsion. 3 days later, the Phantom arrived at the outer boundary of the Cygnus sector, a region dominated by Hegemony military installations. Here, at the heart of their power projection capability, Maya would discover how they planned to respond to humanity's new deterrent. Multiple vessels detected. Area reported as the Phantom drifted into the system. Significant increase in activity compared to baseline. Maya extended her awareness, using the nanite sensors to catalog the Hegemony presence. What she found confirmed their predictions. A massive buildup was underway. Not dozens of ships, but hundreds. They're assembling an invasion fleet, she observed, watching as supply vessels shuttled between capital ships and orbital facilities. Estimated time to completion: 2 weeks, Area calculated. Force composition suggests a full-scale assault rather than another probing action. Maya directed the Phantom closer, slipping between patrol routes with ease. The nanites absorbed all scanning beams directed their way, rendering them effectively invisible. She focused on a particularly massive vessel under construction in a space dock, a dreadnought class never before encountered in human space. We need more detailed information on that ship, Maya decided. Prepare for close approach. The Phantom altered course, gliding silently toward the space dock. As they drew nearer, Maya noticed something unusual about the dreadnought's design. Modifications to its hull that resembled energy dissipation systems. They're adapting, she realized, attempting to counter our absorption capability. Effectiveness unlikely to exceed 27%. Area assessed after analyzing the modifications. However, the principle demonstrates rapid technological response. Maya was about to direct the Phantom even closer when alarms flared across her consciousness. Alert, Area announced. Detection grid activating. Unusual scanning pattern detected. Too late, Maya recognized the trap. The Hegemony had anticipated their return and prepared accordingly. While conventional scanners couldn't detect the nanite swarm, they had deployed a network of quantum resonance detectors. Technology they shouldn't have had. Evasive action. Maya commanded, but the detection grid was already closing around them. Phantom vessel detected, came a broadcast on all frequencies. Containment protocol initiating. Dozens of patrol craft suddenly changed course, converging on their position. Among them, Maya recognized the Indomitable. Admiral Kovra had been waiting for them. "How are they tracking us?" she demanded. "Quantum resonance detection," Area confirmed. "They're using modified technology based on our own designs. Someone provided them with our specifications." Betrayal. The word burned through Maya's consciousness. Someone within the project had sold humanity's greatest defense to the enemy. No time to dwell on it now. The Phantom accelerated, its form compressing into a tighter configuration for maximum speed. But the Hegemony vessels had positioned themselves strategically, creating a three-dimensional containment grid. "They cannot damage us directly," Area reminded her. "Our absorption capabilities remain superior." "But they can trap us," Maya replied, watching as the net tightened. "And if they figured out how to track us, they might have other surprises." As if in response to her thought, the nearest Hegemony cruiser fired, not an energy weapon, but a strange projectile that expanded into a glittering cloud as it approached. "Counter-nanites," Area warned, "designed to infiltrate and disrupt our collective." Maya reacted instinctively, commanding the Phantom's nanites to create a barrier configuration. The hostile swarm impacted, and she felt it like acid against her extended consciousness. Foreign programs attempting to override her control protocols. "Purge in progress," Area reported as the Phantom's defensive systems activated, foreign nanites being neutralized. But more attacks were incoming from multiple directions. The Hegemony had clearly been preparing for this encounter, developing targeted countermeasures based on intelligence about Phantom's capabilities. Maya made a split-second decision. Implement protocol shatter. "Confirmed," Area acknowledged. "Nanite division initiating." The Phantom's form suddenly split, dividing into three smaller but identical configurations. Each retained the core functionality, but with reduced capacity. Maya's consciousness stretched thin as she attempted to control all three simultaneously. The Hegemony forces hesitated, confused by the unexpected multiplication of their target. In that moment of uncertainty, Maya struck. The first Phantom fragment accelerated directly toward the Indomitable, bypassing its defensive screen before the counter-nanites could deploy. As it swept past the hull, it released a concentrated electromagnetic pulse, temporarily disrupting the flagship's systems. The second fragment dove toward the quantum detection grid's control node, identified by the unusual energy signature it emitted. Without directly damaging the station, the nanites interfered with its calibration systems, throwing its readings into chaos. The third fragment, containing Maya's primary consciousness and the command nucleus, slipped through the momentary gap created by these distractions. "Reassimilation distance achieved," Area announced as they cleared the containment zone. Recalling fragments. The separated portions of the Phantom streaked back, rejoining the main body as Maya pushed the vessel to maximum acceleration. Behind them, the Hegemony forces scrambled to reorganize, their neat containment patterns shattered. "We've broken free," Maya confirmed, feeling the nanite collective becoming whole again. "But they'll pursue." "Damage assessment, minimal," Area reported. However, energy reserves at 43% following division and combat maneuvers. Full recovery will require. "We don't have time for recovery," Maya interrupted. "We need to warn Earth about the invasion fleet and the traitor." She directed the Phantom toward the nearest human outpost, pushing its systems to their limits. The encounter had revealed both strengths and vulnerabilities. The Phantom could evade and disable, but against targeted countermeasures in sufficient numbers, it wasn't invincible. Most concerning was the evidence of leaked intelligence. Someone with intimate knowledge of Project Phantom had provided information to the Hegemony, which meant humanity's greatest defense was compromised before the real war had even begun. As they raced toward human space, Maya heard Admiral Kovra's voice broadcast one final message. "Run while you can, Echo. Your trickery has only delayed the inevitable. The Hegemony is coming. And this time, we are prepared." Maya's determination hardened. They had survived the hunt, but the real battle was just beginning. The reckoning. Admiral Kovra stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching as the massive invasion fleet assembled around him. 200 vessels, the largest concentration of hegemony firepower ever deployed against a single species. Final preparations are complete, Admiral. First Officer Nix reported. The fleet awaits your command. Kovra nodded, satisfaction evident in his posture. The humiliation of their previous encounter with the human ghost ship would soon be erased by the most decisive victory in hegemony history. And our special modifications? He inquired. Implemented across all primary vessels, Nix confirmed. The quantum resonance detectors have been calibrated according to the specifications provided by our informant. The counter-nanite dispensers are loaded and ready. Excellent. Kovra turned to the tactical display, where the planned invasion route glowed in red. The humans believe their phantom vessel gives them security. Today, they will learn otherwise. What he didn't say, what only he and a select few knew, was how they had obtained the critical intelligence about the human technology. The price had been enormous, draining a significant portion of the military council's black budget, but worth every resource token. Humans, it seemed, could be bought. Even those entrusted with their species' most vital secrets. Signal the fleet, Kovra ordered. Commence jumping sequence. Destination. Sol system. One by one, the massive warships disappeared into hyperspace, bound for humanity's home system. The invasion had begun. Maya Chen stood before the Emergency Defense Council on Earth, her body still adjusting to full gravity after weeks merged with the Phantom. Around the circular table sat the 12 individuals responsible for humanity's survival strategy. Military leaders, scientists, and elected officials united by the hegemony threat. The invasion fleet is larger than we anticipated, she concluded after detailing her reconnaissance findings. And they've developed countermeasures specifically designed to neutralize phantom technology. Director Nakamura, head of the Special Projects Division, leaned forward. How is that possible? The nanite configuration protocols are our most guarded secret. We have a traitor, Maya stated flatly. Someone with detailed knowledge of the project has sold us out. The accusation sent a ripple of tension through the chamber. General Santos, commander of Earth's conventional defense forces, pounded a fist on the table. We need names, Chen. Who had access to those specifications? Everyone in this room, Maya replied quietly, plus the engineering team, the quantum physics division, and selected military personnel, approximately 50 people total. Uncomfortable glances passed between council members. That's a matter for internal security, Council Chair Rodriguez interrupted. Our immediate concern is the incoming invasion fleet. You're certain they're targeting Sol directly? Maya nodded. Their trajectory calculations were unmistakable. They'll be here within 48 hours. Then we activate the full defensive grid, Santos declared. Every conventional vessel we have, plus the orbital platforms. It won't be enough, Maya responded. Not against 200 ships, including types we've never encountered before. What about the other Phantom vessels? Nakamura asked. The production schedule was compromised. Maya cut in. We have 3 operational units, not the 12 we planned for. Echo, Shadow, and Spectre, each with a single trained pilot. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's revolutionary defense system, meant to compensate for their numerical disadvantage, had been sabotaged from within. Then we evacuate, someone suggested. The colony ships. No, Maya interrupted again. We still have one advantage they don't know about. All eyes turned to her. The Phantom vessels have a capability we never revealed to anyone outside this room, she explained. Not even to most of the development team. It's called the Resonance Cascade. Director Nakamura's expression darkened. That protocol was theoretical, never fully tested. It works, Maya insisted. I verified it with both Shadow and Spectre pilots. If all three Phantom vessels synchronize their nanite fields and activate simultaneously, we can create a system-wide disruption effect. Affecting what exactly? Santos demanded. Any technology operating on quantum principles, Maya explained, including hegemony drive systems, weapons platforms, and life support. You're talking about disabling 200 ships at once, Rodriguez said incredulously. Temporarily, Maya clarified. Perhaps 30 minutes at most, but enough time for conventional forces to move in and neutralize their command vessels. Debate erupted around the table about risks, ethics, and alternatives. Maya stood silently as they argued, her mind already made up. She had seen the hegemony fleet, understood what was coming. There were no good options left, only desperate ones. Finally, Chair Rodriguez called for a vote. The result was 9 in favor, 3 opposed. Very well, Rodriguez announced grimly. Operation Resonance is approved. General Santos, prepare conventional forces for immediate engagement following the cascade effect. Director Nakamura, work with the Phantom pilots to coordinate the synchronization. As the meeting adjourned, Nakamura approached Maya privately. You know the risks, he said quietly. The neural feedback alone could kill all 3 pilots. Maya met his gaze steadily. We knew what we signed up for. 40 hours later, the Hegemony invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. Admiral Kovra surveyed the tactical display with satisfaction as his vessels formed up into attack configuration. Scanning for defenses, the sensor officer reported. Detecting orbital platforms, conventional warships in defensive positions around Earth and Mars. Numbers consistent with intelligence estimates. And the Phantom vessels? Kovra demanded. No sign yet. Admiral, quantum resonance detectors are active and sweeping. Kovra's inner eyelids flickered skeptically. They must be here. Increase scanning sensitivity. The fleet advanced methodically toward the inner system, where Earth's conventional defenses waited. These would be dealt with easily. The real threat was the Phantom technology that had humiliated his forces before. Admiral, the sensor officer called suddenly. Quantum resonance detected. 3 signatures, converging near the lunar orbit. There they are, Kovra hissed. Deploy countermeasures immediately. All vessels, prepare to engage Phantom targets. On the main screen, 3 points of darkness appeared against the backdrop of Earth's moon. The Phantom vessels moving into formation. They appear to be aligning somehow, the science officer observed. Unusual energy pattern developing between them. Kovra felt a flutter of unease. Launch the counter-nanite dispersal immediately. Target all 3 vessels. Dozens of specialized projectiles streaked toward the Phantom vessels, each containing billions of programmed nanites designed to infiltrate and disrupt the human technology. But before they could reach their targets, something unprecedented happened. The 3 Phantom vessels merged their fields, creating a single pulsing nexus of darkness. Energy readings spiked off the scales as the combined nanite swarms synchronized into a singular entity. What are they doing? Nix asked, voice tight with concern. Before anyone could respond, a wave of energy erupted from the nexus, invisible to the eye, but registered on every instrument aboard the Indomitable. It expanded outward at impossible speed, washing over the entire Hegemony fleet in seconds. And then, silence. Every system on the Indomitable failed simultaneously. Propulsion, weapons, shields, life support, all offline. Emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow over the bridge as backup systems struggled to activate. Status report. Kovra demanded, but no one answered. Every console was dark, every system unresponsive. Through the viewport, he could see the same had happened to every ship in his fleet. 200 of the most powerful vessels in the galaxy, drifting helplessly. And then he saw them coming. The human conventional fleet, accelerating toward the disabled Hegemony armada. Somehow, they remained unaffected by whatever had neutralized his forces. Adaptation field activating. The AI's voice suddenly announced as limited functionality returned to the command systems. Emergency protocols engaging. Estimated time to partial systems recovery. 27 minutes. Too long. Far too long. Kovra watched helplessly as human vessels surrounded his fleet, taking position around key command ships, including the Indomitable. A communication signal managed to break through on emergency channels. The face that appeared on the small auxiliary screen was human, female, middle-aged, a military commander by her uniform. Admiral Kovra, she began without preamble. This is General Santos of Earth Defense Forces. Your fleet has been neutralized and surrounded. You have two choices, surrender or destruction. Kovra stared at the screen in disbelief. This is impossible. You cannot defeat the Hegemony. We just did, Santos replied simply. The only question is whether you live to report that fact. The reality of his situation crashed down upon Kovra. His mighty invasion force, rendered impotent by a technology he had underestimated despite all warnings and intelligence. The disruption effect is temporary, Santos continued. When your systems begin to recover, our weapons will be locked on your command centers. The next decision you make determines whether the Hegemony loses ships or loses lives as well. Pride and survival warred within Kovra's mind. The Hegemony did not surrender. It was against every principle of their expansionist ideology. Yet the alternative. If I agree to withdraw, he said carefully, what assurance do I have that you won't destroy us when our systems reactivate? The same assurance we had when your Phantom vessel encountered your fleet, Santos replied. We could have destroyed your ships then. We chose not to. Humans don't seek annihilation, Admiral. We seek to be left alone. Kovra's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as he processed this. The human was right. The Phantom vessel had disabled his ships during their first encounter, but had allowed them to recover and depart. I require communication with my fleet commanders, he said finally. Granted, Santos nodded. Local communication systems are being restored now. After conferring with his surviving captains, the decision was clear, if humiliating. The Hegemony fleet would withdraw, not just from Seoul, but from all contested regions along the human border. As system functionality slowly returned, Kovra composed the formal withdrawal order, each word burning like acid in his throat. 2 centuries of undefeated expansion, ended by a species they had considered primitives just decades ago. Maya Chen awoke in a medical bay 3 days later, her body racked with pain from the neural feedback of the resonance cascade. Beside her bed sat Director Nakamura, his expression a mixture of concern and triumph. Did it work? She asked, voice hoarse. Better than we dared hope, he confirmed. The Hegemony fleet has withdrawn completely. Admiral Kovra signed a formal recognition of human sovereign space, expanded by 50 light-years in all directions. Maya attempted to sit up, wincing at the effort. The other pilots. Nakamura's expression darkened slightly. Kai didn't make it. The neural load was too severe. Vasquez is in recovery, like you. Maya closed her eyes, absorbing the loss. Every victory had its cost. And the traitor? She asked after a moment. Identified and detained. It was Undersecretary Liang. He passed specifications to Hegemony agents in exchange for personal guarantees and resource rights. Maya nodded, unsurprised. Liang had always seemed too concerned with what came after the conflict, too confident that humanity would find accommodation with the Hegemony. What happens now? She asked. Nakamura smiled slightly. Now, we build. The Phantom program continues, but with better security and expanded capabilities.